Alright, let's get into it. Round of 4, semifinals. Let's do this thing. Alright, today's match, Nada versus Goodfriend. Actually, Goodfriend is a Terran I really didn't know until watching this tournament, but he really impressed me. I loved his play. Loved it. Super straightforward, super tactical in his movements, controlling his army. Him and Anytime have really been two players that I didn't know and that I found out are fantastic. So I am excited to see this match. This is the semifinals, obviously, so Nada making it here a bit after his prime, but still having a huge showing in this tournament. And Goodfriend, someone who I just didn't know, and so I'm excited to see him play. Terran vs. Terran, maybe not the most adrenaline-filled matchup, but still a good time. A lot about positioning, about tanks, and dropships. And I'm not sure exactly what it looks like at this time. Nowadays, we see a lot of vulture plays as transition into that sort of tank dropship play. But this is on Arkanoid, so we're definitely going to be seeing dropships. And this map has been really an avenue for long games and games getting drawn out because they really can't rush each other. Maybe aside from Goodfriend pulling out that sweet 2 or 3 racks push against Protoss in the round of 8 and getting a quick win, because I think what we've seen of this map, it seems really hard for Terran players against Protoss. We've seen a couple TVPs on this matchup or map so far. So we have, oh boy, okay, KTF. So that must be Goodfriend. So Goodfriend is the white Terran in the top left, and we have Nada in the top right as our red Terran. So Nada in the top right, Goodfriend. And so we've seen a lot of players putting their nexuses or command centers or hatcheries off place. Totally fine for a Terran player, but it is quite the compromise for Protoss specifically. Zerg players really don't mind having an extra hatchery, and they can always start another one as their third hatchery, correctly positioned once they get rid of those cocoon things. What are we gonna see here? So I guess one of the questions you need to ask is, am I gonna go Wraiths? And whoever does go Wraiths probably gonna have a more probably going to have the map control, and the other player is really going to have to sort of be methodical about their movements with the Goliath dropships. Dropships, certainly vulnerable, but Goliaths are really good at protecting them. It looks like both players doing the exact same thing, sending out their SCV down, and it looks like they're just going to go 14cc, dropping it below those cocoons, and then they can always lift it later. Yeah, so exact same builds for both players. Makes a lot of sense. Something like a bio play would be really difficult because it's so easy with vultures to defend something like that. Maybe with Stim it could be a little more competitive, but it looks like he wants to build a barracks over in this corner. We've seen Terrans using barracks as scouting the other mains. See some fans. Looks like they got lawn chairs there. Those cheap plastic lawn chairs. Right on. Gas is going up same time. Yeah, I think I'd be really happy with both of these, either one of these players advancing. Obviously not as a legend, not as someone I'm very familiar with. Mainly because of how much he's been referenced, not primarily because of games I've watched. I've certainly seen some iconic games, such as him sort of doing the Whirlwind Terran style, pulling those SCVs and basically just being a tank SCV timing on a map like Lost Temple, I believe is the match I watched. But sort of the first Terran to really play macro styles and sort of rediscovering what this race can really become, more than just a micro intensive that was kind of showcased by Boxer and contemporaries. So factories going up now. We do see the Marines starting to pick away at those. Oh, they're called Crystallis. Mature Crystallis. Interesting. Goodfriend does look quite a bit older. I wonder if that's a reality or perhaps just perception. And yeah, we see like it's about 4 mineral patches that seem to mine efficiently, and then the other 4 are kind of not efficient, but what are you going to do with all those extra SCVs? So yeah, immediately dropping. Wait a second. Oh, weird. Okay, I wasn't expecting this. So Nada is getting an armory and a second factory, so it looks like they actually maybe want to play ground game. Play a ground game, because I would have maybe... I guess maybe it's just because Wraiths are so vulnerable, right? A couple Goliaths can really outrange any kind of Wraith play. We do see that Starport getting dropped for Goodfriend, and Nada has relocated that command center, so he will be mining efficiently from now on. And same thing from Goodfriend. Looks like he's timing that armory to try and finish when that second factory. It looks a little delayed though, and then yeah, here comes the starport for Nada. And now Academy. So do we see, it looks like we do see the barracks, at least for the, yeah, we do see the barracks floating out. And it looks like they will see each other's barracks, which will obviously tell them where their opponent is in this map. Academy going down, so man, these builds are so similar. Really a script they're following almost. Ships passing in the night so far. We are going to see those 2 barracks. Oh, are we? Oh boy, I can't quite tell how close they are, but it looks like Goodfriend's barracks is a little bit further south, so they might not notice immediately. Making some actually adding tanks, so I'm surprised about that. We do see some upgrade coming out of the machine shop for Goodfriend. And what's this? Oh yeah, just getting the 3rd area ready to be placed to command center. I'd be really impressed if they're going straight up to 3 command centers. I mean, it is just so hard to deny something like that. And it does look like dropship production has started for Goodfriend. Same thing for Nada. Comsat's coming up. Actually adding a bunker. Huh. I wonder what that's for. So some kind of vulture drop, perhaps? Maybe if they skip the second factory and go straight up to a starport, something like vultures could be dropped. Here comes the first dropship for Goodfriend, and same thing with Nada. I don't think they've found each other yet, which is so funny with this map. It's almost like it should be a 2-player map, because just finding the other person is so difficult. I mean, Zerg has such a huge advantage. Well, Zerg and Terran, really. Oh, he finds it. So here comes the drop. I'm not sure what's in here. But yeah, oh, just 4 Goliaths, so this is something we've certainly seen in Terran vs. Terran before. But oh, needs to be really careful. You saw the enormous range of Goliaths already put that dropship to half. And that's why I was interested that they actually chose to go dropship. Like, I feel like if you were going ground, why not just bust the temples down? But maybe it's kind of a double-edged sword. And maybe dropships are just necessary. It's too hard to defend. And I guess we did see in some Terran vs. Protoss games that you can actually drop in those non-build areas. So I guess it makes a lot of sense that you really can't permanently defend with ground units. It really is a dropship game, and it's a dropship game very early. Nada still doesn't have range upgrades, so Goodfriend can feel a little more confident with dropping until Goliath range is finished. And now Goodfriend's adding that second command center. So yeah, wanting the 4 factory with a dropship, that's pretty standard off 2 bases, and then as that 3rd comes in, you can see more factories being added. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me that you would want to keep your units on the ground. You don't really want to leave them in the dropship in case of some surprise move up with Goliath. And, or I guess, obviously they can pick off other dropships, I should mention. Keeping them unloaded. Now adding some turrets. Okay, it is quite a large tank number, so maybe maybe the Goliaths are kind of the first thing you add, just to be safe against other people's drops, and then you don't really want Goliaths after you have a certain number. And yeah, more turrets being added. I guess it makes a lot more sense to add turrets rather than Goliaths. Turrets don't cost any of that gas, because the Terran vs. Terran is really about gas. I mean, you do get 3 gases on these bases, so I don't know if there's any. I don't think there are mineral onlys on this map. It really does look like it's just 12 expansions, 3 in each corner. Oh, is there one? No, there's not anything at 12 o'clock. Yeah, that's really it. Pretty straightforward expansions, at least. So they're pointing out he does have +1 finished. I don't know if we've seen a science facility out for Nada yet, so he can't start +2. +2 is really the key number in Terran vs. Terran. And so it is just a rush to get +2. Like armor's like, sure, we can get armor if we want, but it's not really gonna affect the tank shots aside from like splash or something. Helps versus Goliath. So those thirds look like they're up now, and this is really like a no rush 20 aside from a little bit of dropship maneuvering. There's the science facility, so yeah, +2 is probably already starting for Nada. Starting to add additional factories, so we see 4 dropships plus maybe that one in the middle. That's a lot. That's a lot of units. Now adding the 5th factory. Yeah, so 5 dropships out 4. Goodfriend. And Nada, yeah, starting to get antsy with these dropships, moving out. Look to get something done. I mean, in these positions in particular, it could be pretty scary to have your dropships out in the map, because your opponent could just drop your main, right? Or drop your, like, it's such a short air-to-air distance, but Nada is going around and trying, and yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So I don't know if Goodfriend saw these dropships, I'm not sure, but Goodfriend is going, and he has a lot shorter rush distance than, oh wait, I think he maybe, okay, he's changing his mind, he's bringing the dropships back, so maybe he wants to use these defensively. I don't know if he scouted, and yeah, Nada's coming in here. Dropping in that corner, he's going to get the siege up, so Goodfriend can really come from the counter, but that's a lot of Goliaths that can really protect. Here Goodfriend comes, the Goliath's trying to target fire the dropships, one of them goes down, the second, third, so that's definitely going to hurt. He's going to clean this up. That's a lot of tanks, oh boy. But he did take out some dropships, so that's going to at least slow down the mobility from Goodfriend, and Nada saved them all. I mean, he almost looks like he might. Oh, good control from Nada. Doesn't actually lose one of those dropships. And yeah, so the dropship count is definitely going to favor Nada after that. That's a very interesting thing to think about, is the person who unloads first is the one that's probably going to have a higher dropship count. But Goodfriend, while all this is going down, is starting to knock down the temples and the power generators. They do point out that he does have +1 weapons down. And I guess that makes sense if he is losing the dropship battle here. He might want to just open it up. If Nada has to use the dropships defensively, it's gonna be good for Goodfriend. For a while. Oh my goodness, is that an expansion in the bottom left? I think there's a command center going down from Nada in the bottom left, so trying to sneak an expansion. That's going to be huge if he's able to get it done. But Goodfriend now on his doorstep, sieging up. Nada has a ton of dropships. Look at that, insanity. Already knocked down his temples. So it looks like the center's kind of open. Yeah, Goodfriend sieging up on the other side of, I believe, these, yeah, you can see his tanks. And they're going to set up their lines here. I mean, I don't think Goodfriend knows about the expansion in the bottom left, so this could be troublesome if they go ahead and... Oh, it's not an expansion. Ha! That's hilarious. Strange, so... Yeah, Nada just using his... Oh my goodness, that's a huge drop from Nada. He is going to lose 2, 3, 4, 5 dropships. So basically he loses them all. He loses them all. So his dropship counts being totally reset, and Goodfriend, I'm not sure what we see. We do see him going for his own drop on Nada's third. Trying to be a little, well, does lose some of those dropships. He will siege up. I'm not sure if he's in range of the command center, though, so that can be a little bit frustrating. And now, Nada's going to counter here, bringing the SCVs. Oh, and then Goodfriend's coming back in to drop back on top of those tanks, but it looks like it was unfortunate. The tanks were far enough back they could hit the units being dropped, and I think that was an error from Goodfriend, losing his reinforcements there. And Nada cleans it up, and Goodfriend cleans it up, so I'm not sure. It looks like the command center was lifted, but I think Nada's definitely taking an advantage there because his drop did a lot of damage to the economy, whereas Goodfriend's really wasn't targeting the SCV line. So I think the game state right now is Nada has a better economy but less dropships, whereas Goodfriend has more dropships and maybe can get something happening. So we do see a fourth going down from Nada. He's just putting it out of position, and it looks like Goodfriend intends to do the same thing. He's just a little bit delayed. And now a massive army from Nada. Holy, look at the amount of tanks there. Are you kidding me? It's insanity. I don't know where Goodfriend is your army. I think it might be in dropships somewhere, but I can't quite tell from the minimap. And now Nada's maneuvering, but I think Goodfriend knows he's going to try and set up a little bit of tank line here, but Nada with just an enormous army. Oh no, going to funnel through here. Those tanks going to do a lot of damage and trade. Well, not that well. There we go. Some of the tanks do at least trading evenly here. But I think +2 is probably done at this point, which means a tank line sieged is not going to be broken. Yeah, +2 done for Nada. I didn't quite see Goodfriend's, but it is so hard to push through these funnels, and it makes a lot of sense why they're so focused on the dropship. I mean, those tight corridors are basically impossible to push against tanks. Okay, now Nada expanding in the bottom right corner. And so I wonder, oh my goodness, I think Goodfriend's floating a CC into that bio in the bottom left. Oh, I think he's losing this command center as we speak. I don't know if the observers have picked it up, but he was floating that command center. I don't see it at the 9 o'clock, which means I think it's about to die. I don't think the observer's seen this. I mean, that siege line for Nada is at least going to keep him bundled up in his choke there. But Goodfriend does have the... Oh, I don't think it was the command center. We see the bio moving now. I'm not sure. There's something going in the bottom left. Maybe it's just a barracks and it's really not that significant, but... A lot of turrets being added for Nada. Now Goodfriend's moving out with 4 dropships. Not that many. Getting that saturation up at 3rd. Yeah, I'm not sure what he lost there in the bottom left. Likely just a barracks, I imagine. If it was something significant, they... But what happened to his floating CC? Because we know he was floating a CC at one point. Man, if he lost a CC there, that's going to be a significant advantage given any time. And Nada's just expanding so much right now. I think that sort of contain... Oh, Goodfriend is going to catch this base, so that's important. And Nada really needs to react and at least save his 4th. Losing the 5th maybe isn't that significant at this point, but at this point, Goodfriend could just march north, and Nada needs to get units over there to defend, and he does. Only 3 dropships, though, but oh yeah, 4 tanks should be solid. Look at that massive, massive army. He's even got that bioforce. So making use of that barracks is really interesting. He realizes what this game is about. This game is really about the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. How are you going to secure that? Because Goodfriend really doesn't have many options at this point. Nada just taking map control, and as he takes map control, he just takes expansion after expansion, and all he has to do is defend those positions. Goodfriend is in a tough spot. I mean, Nada can't break him, but Nada doesn't need to break him. Nada just needs Goodfriend not to get more bases. And if he can secure, I mean, with 20 turrets, Goodfriend could be shut in. Goodfriend's trying to break open some more area, which is so important. The center does seem pretty open, and that's really where Goodfriend's going to need to get a good engagement against Nada. It looks like that engineering bay is going to get knocked down. Starting to add to the dropship count. I think he's up to 6 now, and that power generator is going to get knocked down, and look at all of this. So Nada just starting to make a ton of turrets in the center. I mean, if you control the center, you can control all of the different spines that go out to each expansion. And that's what becomes so important. Goodfriend now sneaking these 5 dropships around the south side. It looks like he wants to hit that 430 base in no time. Nada doesn't have a ton defending here, but those 4 Goliaths are going to be so crucial. Yeah, it looks like Goodfriend wants to siege in between here and maybe cut off the reinforcements. Nada with just a massive army. Denying the gas is important. I mean, like I mentioned, you can't do a lot with minerals in Terran vs. Terran. It's just not that useful, especially in these sort of island style map. But Nada's coming down to defend. He is going to use some SCVs to buffer. And then these tanks coming in. Only a couple Goliaths here take out one of the dropships, but that's it. Nada's going to easily clean up. Goodfriend does not have a fourth. This is looking a complete masterclass how to play this game Terran vs. Terran. Nada just not missing a beat here. Finally, Goodfriend is going to secure this 4th. But oh boy, is it late. +2's done, so the lines are set. I think Nada's at +3 actually. I think I saw +15. It is interesting that they just sit on 5 factory. Like, that's enough. That's something I'm learning right now. Like, normally I would add a lot of factories, but it looks like with Goliath tank production, you only need a few factories. Or I should mention also dropships, of course, but I'm surprised that that's all you can support. And look at this, Nada now setting up, denying the bottom 2 bases. I mean, Goodfriend is likely going to be able to get a 4th at least, but he's going to have to make some big moves to secure a 5th. We see Nada just, I mean, the entire map is covered in red. So Goodfriend is really, I think, in trouble here. Nada's actually leaving his contain. So what's going on here? I think he wants to break this base, perhaps. Yeah, he's letting Goodfriend move out, so this is a little delicate for Nada. I think he's going to go at this 4th and try to knock it down. If he does get this 4th, it's going to be so important. And yes, we see the units from the south moving up, and he is dropping on top of the tanks. The Goliath's out of position. I think he's going to break this, and if he breaks this, this is so important. Goodfriend's going to have to make a choice, either counter, because he really can't defend this base. The base is gone. Nada with a brilliant move. I mean, he has no tanks defending currently, but a good army back in his rally point. So he is giving up the center here. But what can Goodfriend do? It looks like Goodfriend's going to counter. He's heading straight for the main. I think he's kind of all in here now. Losing that 4th means you cannot rebuild this army, and if all Nada needs to do is siege, and I think he is going to. If Nada sieges here, Goodfriend is out of luck. And there's the siege. We do see the dropships coming in, so I think Goodfriend can make one more play here. Dropping on top of the tanks. There is not much there. Only a couple Goliaths. He is dropping on top of that tank. If he can break this, oh my goodness. Somehow Nada's forces. That choke point is so brutal. And you see Nada bringing the SCVs here. I think he's going to hold. And if he holds, that is it. Oh my goodness, Nada. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Just better play, I think. Nada just played amazing. Amazing. He really played that map. And I don't think Goodfriend was prepared for that. I mean, we saw the builds, the openings were basically identical, but oh man. Okay. Let's jump over to game 2.
Listen.
Well, advertisement here. Alright, we're here, game 2. Nada versus Goodfriend. This is a best of 5. It is the round of 4. If the games go past game 3, I will stop and finish the rest tomorrow. We'll see how the series sits at game 3. And yeah, Nada just playing super solid. And I think we saw Nada try some dropship play first. He was able to save the dropships, whereas Goodfriend did lose about half his dropships in the first kind of interaction, Nada dropping the third. And then Nada did drop the natural as well. And I think Nada's drop was much more effective than Goodfriend's because Nada dropped on top of the SCVs. And so I think a lot of SCVs were killed in the drop in the natural. And maybe mixing up the bases was third natural, I don't know. They're very similar, but... Whereas Goodfriend dropped out of the range of the defenses at Nada's third and tried to move up in Siege. But doing that means you're not getting so much damage on the SCVs here. We are on a completely 180 different map here. So Shin Peak's a Baekdu, an incredible map so far from what I've seen, but I certainly think it favors Terran players, but in a mirror matchup, this is irrelevant. And we're going to have to see how players sort of deal with this. I mean, I could imagine things heating up a lot faster. Maybe even something as crazy as one base play. Something like 1-1-1 to Wraith Tank, I think would be so effective on a map like this. That high ground ridge outside your natural is going to be unbelievably important. We do see this SCV coming out so fast, and I think Nada wants to get something done with some early Marines. How many SCVs do we see? We see, so this looks like it's an 8 racks, perhaps? 3 or maybe a 7? And the barracks is going down at the natural. Oh my goodness. So putting it in view, yeah, getting there before the supply depot even starts. So Nada's just counting that it's so fast that Goodfriend won't see this. And he can definitely get a lot of damage done, at least on the SCVs. Builds like this don't really kill the other Terran player, but he can definitely get a big SCV count lead. SCVs are just so tanky. They have so much health that they can fight. They can fight Marines. Supply depot going down. I mean, if we do see some kind of late, like a 12-12 build, this can maybe kill him. Maybe. It looks like Goodfriend. His barracks in kind of a vulnerable position. And now the refinery going down. So Nada is going to scout this. I assume he's going to go straight for that SCV on the barracks. I mean, this is going to be just try and delay that barracks if he can. And yeah, maybe... And the first Marine's already out. So it's all going to come down. Can he stop this barracks from being finished? He's going to target fire. And you see him just having to run away because only a couple SCVs are stronger than... Oh my goodness, can he get this SCV? The second Marine is out, and that's going to be pretty significant. Goodfriend is sending that SCV just to go scout, trying to stop the ramp, but 2 Marines are definitely going to push this back, and it's going to be so important if he can... Oh, he does the drill trick, and it looks like he will catch that SCV. Does get the first SCV. Look at him controlling these SCVs. He is pulling the injured ones, and he is trying to drone drill these SCVs, but... Nada is, I mean, this high ground's so strong. He already has 1 Marine out. He's about to get a second. Oh, and the high ground, he actually gets it immediately. Not much mischance in that case. And this is looking really bad for Goodfriend. Oh my goodness. Another Marine is about dead. He needs to pull more SCVs. This is... What do I know about TVT? It looks like he's just dead. Oh my goodness, and the other Marine popping out almost immediately dies. He's going to target fire. Does get one of those SCVs. 4 Marines against 1. Where are your SCV pulls? I think Goodfriend knows. I think he's already lost too much. This is too late. Yeah, Nada's control is just so good, right? Just staying outside of that drone drill is really important. Now target firing the damaged SCVs. Look at that. Just falling back far enough to click on the SCVs, and then he can target fire the ones. The factory finally has started. He has no Marines, though. There's the second Marine. Okay, 1 goes down immediately. Man, I think this mischance is really favoring Nada, and he gets the other one. That's it. Oh my goodness, Shin Peak's a Baekdu. Talk about a turn of events immediately. Game is already over. Really strong play from Nada, right? Just good control, and he takes it down. Goodfriend really wasn't ready for that. Let's jump into game 3. That was bonkers. Amazing, amazing play from Nada. Alright, game 3. Last game today. See if we can get it up here. Awesome. Game 3. So first game was really a macro fest. I mean, on Arkanoid, that's kind of how these games go. It's so hard to be aggressive. Nada just outplaying him, getting up his fourth, getting up his fifth, and Goodfriend really wasn't able to do much once Nada had that sort of chokehold around his natural. Nada took the center, and then a huge doom drop on the fourth, denying it, and Goodfriend really doesn't have the economy at that point in the game. So it's been all Nada. And then Nada doing, I think it was like a 7 racks, maybe an 8 racks, but yeah, completely cutting SCVs there to get, I think, the barracks as fast as he can, and then he got the win, which I was certainly surprised about. I felt like that could have gone the way of Goodfriend. Maybe just not pulling enough SCVs, to be honest. Maybe not respecting it enough. I do think some of the randomness of shooting up high ground favored Nada because, man, those Marines died instantly and just not getting much luck, I think, for Goodfriend. But this is Tau Cross. Awesome. I'm trying to think, like, this would be a modern vulture map, so that's something I would anticipate seeing if we were watching a modern game. Like, all you want to be doing is just massing vultures on a map like this. No high ground main. If you get enough vultures, you can just do some serious damage. I'm trying to think. I think there's a high ground on the third that you can drop. I'm trying to remember. Maybe that was taken out, but yeah, we'll have to watch for a quick SCV or something crazy happening, I imagine. I mean, I think this is what separates the great players from the good ones. Nada just bringing the cheese, gets a free game here. And from what I've seen of Goodfriend, he seems super solid, but maybe lacking that killer instinct to bring something like that to a best of 5. It's super important. He does look like he's sweating. Oh man, maybe the stress is getting to him. Down 0-2. This is the place you don't want to be. Back against the wall. Can he turn it around? He's been playing so well this tournament. But yikes. Meeting his match in Nada so far. Still looks calm though. Definitely sweating from this intense series so far. Okay, so quickly review the players. This is the blue Terran, this is Goodfriend, and then we have our orange Nada in the top right. And it looks like he wants to do something like a center racks, but or is the racks already down? Oh, it is already down. So just scouting a little early and maybe doing something a little bit later, like a 12 racks 12 refinery, because it does look like Nada's refinery, or yeah, refinery is up quicker. So both of them actually scouting each other first, something that doesn't necessarily happen on a 3-player map. But that's just going to make them feel... I mean, I think Goodfriend's doing something a little bit different than what maybe would be standard with the 11-12. And he did send out the earlier SCV, which is gonna, you know, affect the overall mineral count a tiny bit. First Marine out. It is interesting how many Marines he decides to produce here. Nowadays you kind of just want 1. It makes your build a little bit smoother, but looks like Nada's already up to 2. There is always the possibility of making a couple Marines and doing like a Marine Vulture with the poke with the first Vulture. I'm not sure if that's something people did back. Oh boy. Okay, Goodfriend is getting up a second factory, and it looks like he is making a Vulture here. So it looks like he wants to get aggressive with these Vultures. Nada's still sitting on 1 and opting to get the machine shot, but Nada's the one actually... Okay, just poking. Just seeing if he can catch an SCV or something. So the question here is Nada going to be able to deal with this aggression, because I think, like I was mentioning before, two factories. I mean, I wasn't anticipating a one base play with these two factories, but it's something that could be really strong in my opinion. A lot of vultures on this map. Yeah, and he is going to a second. He's not even adding the machine shop yet. So not going for speed vultures or anything yet, but yeah, Nada sending out that SCV. It looks like he wants to drop a command center here, which would make a lot of sense. Maybe getting some tanks and expanding. And here he goes with the first two vultures, and I think he's just making off those factories, and now he's getting an armory. Okay, this is really interesting. So it looks like he's going to make something like 5 vultures and then add Goliaths. Or perhaps the armory is to preempt something like quick wraiths. But he doesn't have mines and he doesn't have speed, so this is intended to do some damage. Flying in there, he is going to target fire the Marines. One of them goes down immediately, but oh no, I think Nada made enough. Both vultures dead instantly? I think he wasn't... Okay, another 2 coming. But he still has... Okay, gets another Marine. Gonna try... He does deny the SCV building, and now he's going to target fire the tank. I mean, that vulture's taking a lot of damage. He does add both machine shops. So what is his plan here? Is that it? That's the whole attack? He only got 2 Marines and 1 SCV. That is not that good. He lost 3 vultures. And now the second tank's out, so Nada is going to get this expansion up. But is Goodfriend expanding behind this, or is this something he's persisting? It does look like he just dropped a command center. Nothing spinning on the machine shops yet. And yeah, that barracks being really useful at scouting for him, but he really didn't get the damage I think he needed. Or wanted. Not necessarily needed. I mean, we're going to see that Nada's going to be up on SCVs after this, because the command center's going to be up. Now he's producing tanks 2 at a time. Okay. So trying to catch up on the tank count. I did think I saw, yeah, the second factory's already done for Nada. No machine shop on it yet, so just starting to add some vultures to this mixture. And this is where positioning becomes really important. I'm not sure, I don't think Goodfriend has siege mode at this point. Nada's already got mines out. Okay, that's important. You know, you can kind of use mines to take area in anticipation for siege mode. The mines kind of give you an area to which you can move tanks to later and siege behind. And as a Terran player, moving out against something like mines can be a little risky. You know, Goliaths are totally fine against mines, but something like tanks can accidentally roll over a couple mines and end up looking really foolish. But at this point, Nada's got the map control, Nada's got the mines, there's siege mode finishing, but I don't know if this is where you want to be sieging. I mean, oh my goodness, that is a lot of vultures. So it looks like Nada's just, with the 3 tanks, only been making vultures at this point. I mean, if he has speed, I think it just finished. I think he can get aggressive here if he wants. I think the barracks is floating over the army, so he sees everything, and is he gonna go? I mean, taking this position is also very strong. It's not something you have to win immediately, and with the Goliaths coming, I think that time is gone. Yeah, he's just going to take a third. So this is what I'm talking about. Positioning in Terran versus Terran is far more important than actual army size, and it looks like he doesn't have siege mode yet, but with that many vultures, he can at least hold this position for a time. And he is adding that starport and armory. I think Goodfriend's starport is already finished, so Goodfriend's going to be able to do something with that. And it's just a choice between vulture play and starport play. And actually not a retreating with the tank, so doesn't want to set up his siege line too far, knowing that those dropships are probably on their way. There it is, the first dropship. I don't think that armory's spinning yet, so not really committing to a late game play so far. And Nada's command center is already done. Still only 2 factories. It looks like he's adding factory 3 and 4, and there's the control tower now being added to the starport. So we do see this sort of mid-game convergence. We really don't see many Goliaths out for Nada yet. Still relying on the vultures with mines, and I think on a map like this, that's what I would like to be doing. getting the map control, getting the mines out there. And yeah, just keeping his army back. It looks like Goodfriend is heading out. I'm not sure that's Goodfriend's. We're gonna have to see if he flies over a mine that's very close. I'm not sure if that mine did have vision of the dropship, but I don't think I see Nada's army moving, so clearly did not see the dropships yet. Factory 3 and 4 still not done, but he is going to drop above the natural, actually. Okay, this is to the feature I was thinking about. 4 tanks being dropped on that high ground, and that's going to be pretty annoying for Nada. I mean, I don't think Goodfriend knows about the third yet, so Nada can just transfer all of those SCVs over there. And it's not going to be the worst thing. I think Goodfriend may, for now, think his position is better than it is. And here Nada goes, loading up a couple Goliaths and a tank. Maybe going to try a little bit of, yeah. And then bringing in the army from the south. He is going to get the siege on the low ground, which is going to be great. And yeah, he's going to clean this up. Oh my goodness, that tank shot killing 2 tanks immediately. Whew, that hurt. So that was not that great for Goodfriend. It really only stopped the mining temporarily, and Nada had a place for those SCVs to go to keep mining. Oh boy. And if Goodfriend isn't able to deny this third, this is gonna look real bad given any amount of time. Oh, and the mines. Oh, and the mines. Does pick out the first one, but the second one does go off. One of those tanks. But he's continuing to move out. This is dangerous, and yeah, I think he realized that finally he's going to turn around. Mines just being so useful, so he's going to know where the dropships are coming. Nada should have. He does have 1 Goliath up there. Sieges the tanks. Oh, does he have units in these dropships? If he does, he could does get on top of the tanks. It is. And then sieging on the low ground. This is just a beautiful defense from Nada. Oh my goodness, but I think Goodfriend Goodfriend barely holding the high ground, so not actually having the right unit mix here to break that. Another dropship coming in. These Goliaths don't have range yet? Is that true? But there we go. Nada does clean it up. But that drop was definitely better. Definitely a lot of units being killed. A lot of Nada's units being killed by Goodfriend and losing some of that mining time. So a really good trade from Goodfriend. And now Nada sending, it looks like vultures straight to the natural. I don't know if there's, yeah, the third is finished, but there's nothing here defending. And Nada's going to get a lot of SCV kills. There's so many vultures here. Look at half the SCVs already going down. Goodfriend is dropping the third, but Nada just lifts off and gets out of there. Oh boy, these SCVs just, there's 5 left. That's insanity. And yeah, he's going to have to use that SCV to reproduce, or that command center to reproduce his SCV count, because it was just, I mean, that's half of the SCVs of his, or half of his SCVs were at that base, and most of them are gone now. So he's likely sitting at something like 30 SCVs at most. And Nada with the 3 bases is likely nearing 50 or 60 at this point. And he's already starting his 4th at the 12 o'clock. So this is looking just so good for Nada. He just needs to hold on and to trade relatively evenly. And he's going to have a huge advantage. Those dropships are flying around. It looks like this SCV will scout it as a passerby. Goodfriend's army is good. It's solid. Good sized army if he can sort of clear out the map from mines. I don't think he's okay, there's the third. There's some mines blocking it, so great positioning from Nada. Just slowing that down a little bit more. But while this is going on, Nada has 4 dropships, and he looks like he wants to go for the main. The turrets aren't up yet, so one of those turrets is going to hit the dropships, but everything gets out, and the siege is right next to the factories producing the tanks. So this is so bad, and at the same time, Nada is moving out with another force about the same size. Goodfriend coming in to drop on top of these tanks. Nada's Goliaths are in position, though, and the range boost is finished. He's target firing 2 of the dropships. 2 of them go down immediately. But Goodfriend, I don't think... Oh, he is attacking from the top, so it looks like he will be able to clean this up, but... Not that much damage, actually. It probably was a perfectly fine trade for Nada. And remember, Nada's just trying to buy time. Oh, one Goliath left over. That's annoying, but Goodfriend will clean it up. And so I think that 12 o'clock base is finished. I think he's adding the gas already. And Goodfriend being active out on the map, that's going to be the key. Like, Nada does have the positional advantage, spawning at the northeast. He's going to be able to drop that main over and over again, and Goodfriend's really the one who's going to have to control that area on the other side of his wall. But this is turning into an epic game. I'm surprised. Goodfriend going 2 factory, but really just making a few vultures before transitioning into that expansion. Or continuing with the expansion. It's not really a transition if you're not. So yeah, we see Goodfriend trying to take that super key position. If he can defend this, he defends his main. And it does give him a mineral only, I believe. So going to be really crucial. But you see how Nada skipped his mineral only, going straight for that gas expansion up to 12 o'clock. And that's definitely an advantage if these are the bases that they're going to be working with. So just being active with these dropships. I mean, if you look at the map, it's all orange again, and this kind of giving me flashbacks to the first game on Arkanoid where Nada had the map, and it looks like it's happening again. Yeah, he's taking the other main now. I mean, Nada's just relentless with his expansions in Terran vs. Terran. I think that's the way to go. The Terran army is not the most mobile thing. And you can really defend with a group of dropships filled with units, and we see that happening now. Goodfriend has an army moving up to that the main, but Nada with a dropship force ready to defend where he needs to. Goodfriend did rebuild that machine shop, so he does have. And Nada, oh wow, look at how many factories he has. So I think it's 4 factory to 6 factory. And like I mentioned, Nada's production is getting turned online. Actually, the dropships, oh my, no! Goodfriend! Oh, and you see him breathe out. He loses half his army. The Goliath's catching it there. I mean, he still has a good force there, but the dropships are really the thing that are threatening, and Nada's immediately going for the jugular here. Moving in. I love the random turrets being placed by both players. But now Goodfriend's army is completely out of position. Nada just dropping the factories, sieging up. And like we said, because he lost those dropships, he can't defend as easily as he can. Those units getting stuck on the choke point, and the tanks just shelling them. And it looks like he's elevating more units into the main, and no. I mean, I think that's gotta be it. That's gotta be it. Checkmate. And there's the GG. Nada 3-0ing Goodfriend. 3-0ing. Oh. Amazing. And look, Nada looking at the camera. I think he wanted to do a little ceremony, a little celebration, but the cameraman switching too quick. Well, that's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to watch a series between Anytime and Midas. I'm really excited about that series. Midas is a great Terran player, but Anytime looking amazing in the Protoss vs. Zerg we watched. So we're going to get to see his Protoss vs. Terran. And then we'll get to see Midas duke it out with Anytime. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm Archaic. Have yourself an amazing evening.